Okay. le-
Thank you,
Hello.
Patrick.
Can you
Hello,
hear
can
me
you hear
well?
me?
Is okay? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Loud and
yes, it's
clear.
fine.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Let's see your
So,
slide whether it is showing properly. Okay.
is it all right?
Yep.
Everybody
All
can
good.
see it?
Yep.
All
All good.
good. Okay, thank
So
you. So,
I pass the time to you.
good, good. Thank you, Patrick. Good morning to all of you. If you're in Hong Kong, so that's good because even the weather is bad outside, so we can still have a very good discussion today in the morning. If you are outside of Hong Kong, hopefully you have a sunny day or sunny evening. So let's talk about a very important topic around data. So data, I think, is the oil and soil and electricity of every company in the world. But how does it support a platform economy? So this is things that I will going to talk about in the next 20 or 25 minutes. So thank you for Patrick's invitation and also for all the effort that Patrick and his team and also API Days teams to make it happen today. Thank you. All right, let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Toh Cham. As Patrick said, I'm a professor in Chinese University of Hong Kong Business School, but also I run several business, mainly on AI and big data. So this is my life today. But before that, I actually worked for some bigger company like Cyberport, HSBC, IBM, you name it. It's all around data. So I would say participate in the data economy since day one. When we talk about Excel and the relational database, and then come to data warehouse, business intelligence, now AI and big data. Of course, everything out there is very important to have API because this is the theme of today, but also it's very important to connecting all the dots and create values for our customers and companies. So that is something the crossover about AI and data and the business model that I'm going to talk about is a platform, right? So part of my job is as a professor and also the founder and chairman of a few startups. But also I'm doing quite a lot of advisories and also mentorship for many organizations, particularly in the innovation technology area. Of course, Cyberport Science Park, but also others that you can see. So I'm also helping quite a lot of enterprise to doing the digital transformation. So that's about me. And there's some of the pictures, probably you have seen me before in Hong Kong or maybe somewhere around the world. So helping quite a lot of companies and startup in terms of digital transformation. So today I'm going to talk about these platform, right? So everybody now is in the digital economy, but platform, not too many people really know about the power of platform. Platform, I call it, is the killer business model in the digital economy. Killer business model. That means it's dominating, right? Why I call it killer business model? Let me explain a little bit. So we are most of our company. We are in the traditional industry, right? And we are facing competition not only from our own industry, but actually facing competition from four different areas. The first one, the biggest one, is the tech platforms. So we talk about Alibaba, Amazon, Apple, Meta, Alphabet, all these Tencent and the JD. So this is all the platforms. They are not a product producers. They are a platform to collaborate with different stakeholders to create values for their customers and also create value for their own companies. Of course, we're also facing other types of competitors, uh, startups. So we talk about fintech startups, we talk about AI startups, we talk about health startup, we talk about retail tech startup. So many, particularly the unicorns, those that make it and becoming bigger. So this is another type of disruptor. The third one is those that are not in your industry, but they're making use of data to cross over to your industry and then disrupt you. For example, Volkswagen right now is doing financial services because they have all the data around their drivers or the customers. So they can collect the dots and then calculate the risk of the drivers and then they can do insurance, and then you can do financing. And the last but not least is same in your industry, but they respond to digital economy, digital transformation faster than you. So those are the 4 types of disruptors, I call it. But today we are focusing on the platform. The first one, in fact, is the biggest disruptor in this decade. So top platforms in the world, you may think about Alibaba, you may think about Amazon, other platform. In fact, it's not only them. If you look at this chart, this is around the whole world, in US, in Europe, in Asia. So we have the big platform, just like I mentioned, but also we have the smaller platform. In fact, when they call smaller, they're not small at all. For example, we talk about Netflix and Uber. Compared to Amazon, they're still small, but they're very big. And in Asia, when we talk about Alibaba and Tencent, they're super big tech platform. But look at all the platform around it, right? For example, in Indonesia, there's a GoTo, previously Gojek. In Singapore, we have, Uber-like, for example, Grab. So all these platform is not that small, but compared to the biggest one, but they're all running a platform model. That's why they're so successful. So today I'm going to talk about it. And how does it relate to API? There's lots of API around platforms. So we'll talk about it later on. Well, typically Alibaba is an example, right? What is a platform? So is they do not have their own products, right? But how they can make it to become one of the largest companies in the world. So what is the magic behind it? It's all about data. It's all about open innovation. It's all about collaboration that Patrick just talked about. And then not just the name of Alibaba. How about the financial return for all these tech platforms? If you look at the market cap, look at revenue, it doesn't mean anything. But you look at the market cap, okay? You look at the market cap, the top 10 highest market cap in the world. In fact, you look at these, 7 out of those are tech platforms. So again, what is the magic behind why their market cap is higher than those 100, 200 years old companies? It's not utility, it's not financial services, right? So what's the magic behind it? And in fact, you look at the right-hand side here, Target, Marriott, and Blockbuster. In fact, they are one of those is already gone. Blockbuster is not existing anymore in the world. Marriott and Target, they're still here, but they're undergoing a tough disruption, okay, from these guys. We talk about Airbnb, we talk about, Walmart is being disrupted by Amazon and Alibaba. So all these companies, again, they are not physically present. They do not have the heavy asset. The only thing they have is their innovation and also data, right? So if you look at these again, in the digital economy, what it really value is not heavy asset. You look at the 30 years ago, GE, GM, all these companies are the biggest company in the world. But look at today, all these companies like I just talked about, the tech platforms, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's Alphabet, Google, whether it's Alibaba, they're all asset light. That means they can scale faster. They can be much lower in terms of cost. But more importantly, they're making use of data to understand customer and then to have a very good customer experience. That really matters, right? It's not just because the heavy asset and the light asset comparison. It's also the culture, innovation culture, the data culture, the data capability of this light asset business. So that really counts. So you as an API expert is very important component in this platform and also the data economy. So some of the companies still benchmark themselves with their rightful competitors in the same industry. For example, supermarket, automobile maker, automaker, and all that compared to your own industry. But in the digital economy, it's not good enough because we look at all these 4 disruptors we talk about. most of them are not in your same industry. They are they are going into your market and stealing your breakfast, lunch, and then dinner, and then you are gone. So we need to benchmark with not only your own industry rivals, but also you need to look at benchmark with the tech platforms. For example, in DBS, they call itself as a Gandalf to make sure that everyone in DBS know that they're not benchmarking with ICBC or Citibank. They're benchmarked with all these platforms. So we look at the central one, D. The D in the middle is DBS, and the other is GAN and Apple, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So by benchmark with all these tech platforms, they are doing a serious digital transformation. So they make everybody is a digital citizen. Data citizen. So everybody is literate around data, to speak data, right? And also, of course, customer centric, taking risks like just like a startup, agile. Patrick will talk about. So if they do not benchmark themselves with this tech platform, only benchmark with the banks, for example, they are not going to do a successful digital transformation. They may feel good for a period of time, but they're not going to compete competitive enough to compete with these tech giants. So that's about platform economy, right? Why is a killer business model in this digital economy? The second thing, maybe you will ask me, what is a platform? To a technical guy like you may think that is a technical platform. Maybe it's an infrastructure, okay? But when we talk about platform in the platform economy, we are seeing it as a business model, right? Of course, there's a lot of underlying technologies to support it. For example, data, for example, API. But more importantly, why it makes sense in our business world, right? So what is a platform? A platform is very fundamentally, it creates values different from our existing model. In our existing model, we have the upper stream with the lower stream. You have the manufacturers, and then you have a distributor. You have company to sell like a retailer. So it's a horizontal, linear, adding value from manufacturer, research, manufacturer, and then you have the channel to sell, and then the customer receive the product. So every step we are adding value to it. This is the value chain for the last 100 years. But the Genius Guy really reinvent the value chain. So this is the platform. So rather than from a linear, we can create value from 360 degrees. That means we have a platform, we have different suppliers of goods and services. We have customers, they have different demands. So how we can put them all together in a platform? So we create values from 360 degrees to satisfy the needs of our customer, the demands. So it's very different. So you have to understand this is a new way to create values for customers. That is what they want. They want what they're expecting, because all these major platforms, they already help all these customers to experience what kind of services they can get from a platform. So if you're a product company, when you need to compete with a platform company, that's why you are losing, just like we have example before, right? Because you are not creating enough values for your customer. But in your platform, it can create values, for example, Amazon and Alibaba. So they can get all these values from different service provider or products provider through the platform and then offer it to the demand. It's not just a e-commerce or middleman, because when you can make use of the data, you can value it. For example, you can have a recommendation engine, right, using AI to recommend the right product and service to the right customer at the right time, right? So those are the things. It's not just a middleman, just like we used to have a reseller, right? Platform is not a reseller, right? Platform is a very powerful business model, put it this way, right? To move on. So sometimes we call it a multi-sided effect because we have customer on one side and we have multiple providers on the other side. The platform are doing the value-added thing, like for example, we talk about the product recommendation, governance, all this kind of thing is the value added. So it's not a pure reseller we talk about. One of the terms we call it network effect is when more people on the right hand side, for example, you have more customers on the platform. So more service providers are willing to come to the platform because they can get more business. When you have more suppliers on the platform, that means you have more choices. It will attract a lot more people to come to the platform, right? So that's what we call a network effect. So no product company, no old style reseller can achieve this kind of network effect. So a platform-wise, a killer business model is mostly the network effect and also data. So you look at these, right? You have a bunch of producers, products and services. You have the consumer. You have the unmet need. You have pain points. You want to be, you need helps, right? So platform is a way to create all these values and satisfy the demands. So, from the left-hand side is the pure product company, and the right-hand side is the platform we just talk about, typically Airbnb and Uber, Alibaba, and Tencent, right? But there's something called in the middle. You don't have to be a pure platform. You can have some product yourself, but also you could be a platform. So this is what we call a hybrid platform. So, for example, Apple, Samsung, and even Adobe, all these kind of company, they are a hybrid platform. That means they do have their own product, but they also can have a platform to collaborate with a lot of other services and product providers and satisfy the need of their customers. All right, so let's move on, go a little bit faster. So it's all about open innovation and collaboration. This guy, if you're old enough, you know that he's the founder of Netscape, bring every one of us into the internet world. So now he's a professional, successful investor. All this company you look at is invested by him. So he's a billionaire. But how he see platform? A platform is a system that can adapt to countless needs and niches that the platform original developers could not possibly have contaminated, right? So this is something, this is very, very good code. So Apple and Google are typical platform as well. So they're not only selling a, Google in terms of Android, they do not have their own product. So it's a pure platform. In terms of Apple iOS, it's a hybrid platform. They do have their own product like iPhone, but they also accommodate all these developers for like apps, right? All these telecom companies, for example. And sharing economies are a very good example, successful example of platforms. So all you see start from Uber, Didi, and then go to and Grab and all that. Okay, so the third part is data, right? So we talk about how platform make it in terms of financial return and what is a platform. It's not a reseller. It is a data, is API, and also it's network effect. So this is what platform really differentiate themselves from all other business models. So what is the role of data there? The data is actually the secret source of successful platforms. Let's take a look. So when we talk about Alibaba, it's a platform. So they also integrate their own data and also the ecosystem data. So all these kind of things, they can create something like Ungroup. Okay, we talk about the largest fintech company in the world, put it this way. So Alibaba and the Sesame Score and all these financial data products created from connecting the dots in their ecosystems. So when we talk about Airbnb, the market cap of Airbnb actually is over $100 billion. How big it is actually bigger than the sum of all these hotel chains, right? So how do they make it? Data, right? This kind of platform do not have a single hotel room, but how they can have 100 billion US dollar valuation is all about data, right? So they train everyone in the company using data, and to make sure that they make use of data to do what? To understand their customer. Data is their customer voice. And then you look at Hong Kong, right? You talk about HSBC, for example. Of course, virtual bank is very innovative. How will the traditional bank to respond? For example, HSBC, when you opened up a SME bank account, they already connect you to quite a lot of different startup solutions using API, of course, like Zero. And then they also open APIs. Patrick is actually very good support for that contributor to this program as well. So it's Science Park and HSBC. So HSBC have a whole bunch of API. So let the startup to make use of it to create values for the customers. Most recently, HSBC also worked with Hong Kong TV Mall, one of the largest e-commerce platforms in Hong Kong. They have lots of data. By connecting the data from HSBC and Hong Kong TV Mall, they can come up with a credit score from SMEs. So they can loan money to the SMEs much more effective than before. And DBS, as you know, they are one of the pioneers to make use of API to provide banking as a service. So all these third-party apps, they can actually integrate embedded all these financial services into their apps. So every one of their customers, they can enjoy it and have a much better customer journey. And the secret source of data in the platform, what we call is the virtuous cycle of data. So say, for example, the first time I see you, I won't tell you too much, right? But if you offer me something I like, next time I see you, I will share with you more about myself. In the data platform, we talk about the same thing. When you're using data to have a much better product recommendation, for example, selection for your customers, search, right? So they will trust you more, they will share more data with you. When you have more data, you can actually serve the customer better. So this cycle is getting up. So this is unbeatable. So you know more, and then they share more, and you know even more, and they share even more. So this is the virtuous cycle we talk about, a platform. So now you understand platform is not just a tech platform. It's not just a reseller, another types of reseller. So it's so powerful to make use of data and API. So you can make use of data to really create more and more models, like the data platform we talk about. Within the company, you usually use data for analytics, insight, optimization. But if you migrate, for example, Patrick talked about some of the banks also looking at the platform. So you're migrating to a platform, what we call the business metamorphosis. Previously, you're selling products, or you're a typical old-style reseller. Now you can make use of API, data, and network effect to become a data platform. So Citibank, for example, they are making use everyone in the company to be a citizen data scientist in order to make themselves transition themselves into a platform, right? And same as DBS and also Hang Seng Bank, right? They're upskilling their staff to be data literate. Everybody can speak data, so they can helping them to transform not just a product company, but also a platform company, right? My last part is what's next. So if you are in this business or you're helping company to migrate to platform, what's next, right? But we need to look further down. Platform already disrupt all these traditional leaders, right? We talk about, but what's next? Metaverse is next. Metaverse is an advanced version of platforms. Okay, so advanced version of platforms. So we need to, all these platforms we talk about very successful one today, they need to migrate themselves to a new version of platform. It's a metaverse. So all these guys like Decentraland, Sandbox, Roblox, even Nike is going to this way. So they're not just for games, they're not just for NFT speculation. It's really a platform I see. It's a new generation of platform. So how we can migrate into that is a very, very important strategy in the next 5 years. So metaverse, if you don't know how big it is, by 2030 actually is 5 trillion US dollars, according to McKinsey, by 2030. Right. So we're migrating to this generation. I know time is almost done. I'll give you this. What's next for Nike innovation? So they're already into something called Nike Land. And LeBron James, you like NBA. If you don't like NBA, you still like it because the NFT of LeBron James, just one dunk, is over 200K US dollars. Right? So what's your next platform strategy? So that's something I leave it to you. All right. Thank you. Patrick, I pass it back to you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Dr. To Cham. So, unluckily, we don't have enough time for the Q&A. Maybe I will wish you out to understand more. And then if any of the audience want to know more about the concept behind, feel free to wish Dr. Cham out, or also we can also help to line up. So once again, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Patrick. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Okay.